I always realize how important balance is. Sometimes I look back at the last 4 years of my life, 2020 when I just moved to Peru and when COVID started, and I just didn't follow through with my commitments to myself and to my life and to my dream. But I've also realized now that I sometimes get back into these same states of sexual deprivation and feeling lonely and not feeling like I'm getting my interpersonal needs met, how wildly that messes me up in the head. Or at least that's the perception of it. Like how it's then so hard to concentrate on the work when all it is just to connect with a woman, and that's kind of all that you think about. Then I push it and push it and push it and push it forward until I can't do it anymore. Then you completely give in and just go on the dating apps, and it's wild. It's a very, very important and powerful energy to be handled and to be managed. And masturbation certainly is not the choice. Just finding the connection other ways, talking to people. And maybe there's even a case to have a girlfriend without being intimate with her. To be able to retain that energy and still get the connection and give the connection. That's also what I've looked back on. The women that I talked to, the way that I talked to them and the way that I was sending text messages and voice messages and the way that I talked to women was just so forceful because I was just so needy to just get in this connection, to be able to fucking finally focus on my work again. Obviously that was very off-putting to all the women, so I wasn't successful at all. I just beat myself into the ground for that, because that also was enhanced with all of that sexual tension, this kind of self-beating, believing that I fucked it up, and frankly I have fucked it up back then. Right? It's like, it is true, but it doesn't make it better. Even though it's an accurate evaluation, beating yourself for that does not make it better. It does not lead to success. And so I look back at that and I'm looking at my videos and I'm seeing like, man, I really had great speaking capacities back then even. If I had just stuck with that for the last 4 years, I would have been in a much different place right now. But that's that neediness that kind of manifests. When you hold this energy of neediness, no matter how good you are, you don't go outside of yourself because you live so within yourself. And it manifests in lack. When you believe in lack, even if you have a lot to give, you manifest lack and poverty. So interesting. And I always look back and I wish I could have done that just better, but man, where there's like a period where I get back in these states, now I know much better what to do, how to balance myself out, and what are the practices, and talking to friends, and going to resting classes weekly, taking some CBD oil when it's really needed. But man, when I get back into these states, it's so hard to concentrate on anything. And I can only have compassion for my earlier self, because I just didn't know how to resolve that. It was like I wanted to be successful so much and I knew what I had to do, but I also knew I needed a woman in my life in order to just have the balance to be able to work consistently, because otherwise I would just drive myself into the ground and burn myself out. And it happened so many times, over and over and over. How many projects have I quit because of that? Because I just could not sustain the energy that was required without the connection. And I could have, of course, went for some friends, like made friends, and gotten a little bit of connection there, inferior connection. It's not quite the same than, holding a woman, just relaxing in an embrace in like an hour or two. That relaxes me like nothing else, I have to say. Going to the sauna, taking a massage, all of that sure works, but doesn't need to be so hard. Or can I just not find a woman who would love to have a non-sexual relationship just and cuddle? as weird and creepy and weird that this sounds, yeah, it's a really hard thing to resolve, it feels. No, it's not. It's easy. It is easy to resolve. And when I'm in this good place, in this good mood, then I know I have so much positivity, but also when I'm in this good mood, then I just want to work. I don't want to spend my energy on like chit-chatting with girls or women. All I want to do is like work and achieve until I need the connection again. And then I'm all in this needy position. And then I usually don't get it. And then it all goes downhill. Then I don't show up on meetings, I get weak, I have to sleep more during the day. It's gradual, it's so gradual. And what would solve it, cannabis does solve it, 100%, so I can just keep going. But it also makes me slow and confused and brittle in the mind. So yeah, I guess just keep going, get the business up and running, have more connection with the people that I talk to and that I coach. And then just make daily efforts to connect with dating prospects every day, as I'm connecting with business prospects every day. Non-sexual relationships, and just go on dates and hold that energy inside of myself and get that connection. But then there's the question, what I really would love to have is like the skin-to-skin connection. Once a week or twice a week, just laying there in an embrace for like an hour or two, because that fills me up with energy. I don't know if that's kind of fucking energetic vampirism or something. Leeching the energy from her, I don't know. Because I also get so, like, once I'm there, I'm like so, finally. And then I just completely wind down, have usually nothing to say, and just need to relax, because I was like so pushing it so hard. So just having this more continuously, more consistently, but it's also been like a pattern that, yeah, I've never manifested that consistently. It's interesting. It's got to be some pattern there that I have to see. And yeah, it's super humbling to see that that really was the reason why throughout 9 years of business I wasn't successful. Or at least that's the reason that I give it, but it really was the reason, man. Had I just solved that, I could have just stuck with and kept working. The reason was just always this up and down and this crash, and then I was hating myself so much for the crash, you know, because I thought it shouldn't be happening. And went full business, and then I was like, fuck, I need some connection, went all to the other direction. Then that was way too needy until it didn't work, and then I'm like, fuck, I'm exhausted, I gotta go business. For years. And that has to stop now. And even now, I'm sitting here at 1:30 p.m. The outreaches, I mean, I'm doing the work, but it's like, I'm also not as productive as I think I could be. And so the question is, I'm committed to marriage and purity and spiritual awakening. I know that fornication certainly is wrong. It's not just undesirable, it's actually wrong. It hurts me in terms of like the perception that I want to have in front of clients. And especially with the history that I have of going with prostitutes and just really seeking variety from being too afraid to really commit to a woman, because I knew like the only women that I was getting were women that I didn't really want. The type of woman that I want, I had to also realize that it requires a significant amount of effort to become the man that such a woman would want. And so it hasn't happened yet. Every time I've met such a woman, I was on a date with, it never worked out. It was my energy that was probably too repellent. Too lack of self-care, pimples, too weird. Because I was like so left up, I didn't have a center. I didn't even know where I want to live. Didn't even want to buy furniture and commit to anything. I was committed to the life of my dreams. Sure, I quit university for that, 100%, but it's been so interesting. And yeah, now I'm just going to look back and reflect upon the learnings that I've made in the past 4 years, or basically in the past 9 years of myself in personal development. I really reflect upon this journey, because what I've learned are really truly important lessons around personal development, especially about energy, because a lot of people are like me, in the sense that they know exactly what to do, and they have the money and they have the time, yet they are standing in their own way. And I was so passionately driven to find the answer to that, based on my own pain. And I've written the same hero story dozens and dozens of times, and I haven't quite seen yet the connection of how to help people with that. But how to resolve these inner blockages, how to bring things into balance so that you can flow and that your life works out and that you can continue to do the right things. Because it takes the energy to build the habit, but if you don't have an environment that supports you, and if you're not in balance in yourself, your energies are still going all the way in the same way as I've just explained that. When I'm not making the adjustments, that I'm talking to friends every day, every day would be perfect, fuck. Every week at least, multiple times. Go to team sport classes. Gym is also not enough. That doesn't give me the connection. I need connection with people. Team sport, wrestling, that's all skin-to-skin contact as well. I know it sounds fucking weird, but it's at least some connection, you know? Yeah. Now, keep working, keep making myself worthy, find a girlfriend. And that also can't be so fucking hard. It's just like I'm sitting here in this little jungle town in the Andes of Peru, which is like nice and cheap, I get it, but the women who don't want to commit to a long-term relationship are really being pursued by a lot of guys, and many of them probably can give them a more fun lifestyle than I can now, who I'm just working, I get it. Many of them are stronger and better trained, I get it. And the ones who can't live that lifestyle, they are the ones that want to commit. But they are just as needy as I am, and I don't like that, because I know that I will rise above that. So it's in this weird middle spot, like where I've been for fucking a decade, where it's not really getting what I want. And I know that sounds very selfish and very, I don't get what I want, but yeah, maybe that's the immaturity that I need to grow out of. You know, because when I was like 22, 23 years old and I went to these personal development seminars, all these people came up to me and they said, man, you have so much maturity for your age. And I was like, okay. So I took this in but now I don't think anybody would say this. Now it's rather the opposite again. Where I'm like, okay, for 29 years old, it's rather immature. Just start first making your own money. Not really being able to get a woman to stay or to just, you know, be intimate with you consistently so that your needs are being met. You know, it's interesting. But I know we can rise above that, and we will, and we are. And yeah, it's very interesting. So rising above that, getting connection, getting connected, and also how hard it is to talk about these things. Man, I'm on day 146 right now, and now I'm just getting slowly the courage to actually talk about this. Before, I never wanted to talk to anybody about this because I felt so much unworthiness inside of myself. I just did not want to look at it even, because it would confirm what I so deeply deeply believed inside of me. It's unbelievable. while I'm saying this, there's the woman who's texting me right now. And now I have so many contacts in my phone and in my friends of friends. And the worst thing is that I've been in these situations where like women were actively giving me invitations, the type of women that I really truly wanted. And then I didn't do anything because I felt so unworthy and so weak in the situation and so needy, and just I did not want to have the rejection of the type of woman that I actually really wanted, because all of those women, they didn't always reject me. That's also true. That's just like a fucking blanket statement. But I had it in many situations where I just did not go for the type of woman that I actually wanted. And I like viciously fucking hated myself for it afterwards, every single time. And I was in this loop, in this spiral for years. And my energy then was so low and so needy and so self-hateful, and like fucking all this impurity, fucking pimples coming out of my face, man, bad smell and all that shit. I just didn't feel worthy of those good women that I actually really wanted, although they gave me invitations. Now I'm sitting here, 29 years old. I had a relationship twice in my life. One for 7 weeks, another one right now a year, which is a great accomplishment for me. Right? That's a great, great step up for consistency and commitment, right? But also not a woman that I seriously would want to date, like probably the most low-hanging, needy girl that I could find, right? It's like she doesn't have any friends. That's also completely inside of herself. Yeah, I guess that's what I manifested with that neediness. She was the only woman who would accept that in me, because she would accept that in herself and lived in this state herself. Yeah, that's fascinating. So I thank her very much for accompanying me through this very hard year, where I was just getting back and working on my dream after having ditched that for 3 years and did fucking whatever things. It's been one heck of a year, man, but I knew that beforehand, that this year was going to be the deciding year. This is the 16th of October, we have another 10 weeks. And it's looking very, very good. Now I know I'm on the trajectory. Now I just got to keep going, keep working towards the life of my dreams. And getting the connection. Now the connection that I want. And give the connection also. Because, yeah, this is the weird thing about it, man. I don't know. Like, I love people. This is like what I want. This is like what... If I paint myself the picture of how would my life look like when I only needed 5 or 6 hours of sleep, where I'm like so excited to get up in the morning, is like, get up early, go someplace physically where it's like a meeting right away, and then just meet people all day. And like talk to people all day. Having meetings over lunch, but like important meetings now, not just fucking chit-chat, bullshit meetings. And I know that's, you gotta manifest it. You gotta build yourself to that place where people want to be around you all the time, where you provide that much value. I get it. Sure. But also, yeah, leadership behavior, man. I'm fucking picking my nose when I'm alone, eating it. This is fucking crazy. Although I don't want to do this anymore, it's got much, but like when I'm stressed, sometimes it's still these old fucking unworthiness habits that only losers do. It's not great. Farting when I'm eating, that has gotten much better, still happens at times. But yeah, I used to live in this state. I used to live in this fucking... And the first time where I actually just opened up was in Thailand, before I came here. It was like for the first time, we had like some sharing circle and some spiritual workshop or something. Also there, it's like not complete waste of time. I started an Instagram channel, but like, I was so needy and trying to just find a woman to like be intimate with. Because I felt that was the only thing that would give me this connection. So I was just running around outside, kind of looking, but getting like so mentally exhausted from all of this revved up energy inside of me, so unsettled, so unrested, that when I was actually talking to her, I didn't even have any good things to say, because all I wanted is like just embrace her and just fucking relax for like a few minutes, man, and take in this energy. Yeah? That was not the way to go. That did not work. Of course, no woman wants to be leeched of energy by somebody like that, right? So the best workshops were those hugging and holding hands, dancing fucking workshops. Yeah, obviously I didn't do a lot of productive work there. Although I did start an Instagram channel. And anyways, we had one of those sharing circles where, and I also realized that's not what wealthy people do. They don't run around like hippies fucking looking for chicks on some island of Thailand. That's not what millionaires do, generally speaking, right? Some might, but generally that's not what you do to get wealthy, right? Not at all. It's a manifestation of neediness, right? So, yeah, we had this sharing circle and I finally opened up. Like sometimes I feel like very young women seem very attractive to me. Because it's like, it's this weird, very ugly thing that when you feel so unworthy, you feel like only a child would not reject you. And I know I would never fucking act on that, but this is how those thoughts start. And like, imagine like adult men who are like on the 40s and 50s and have never, the same position I'm in right now. But it's just, I now know what to do and I have contacts, I look good, I'm in shape, it's like, that's fine. But like, imagine you're not. It's like you have these thoughts for years, the sexual energy is so strong, at some point your mind just gives in, makes excuses why that's okay. And it's absolutely not fucking okay. And I'm not trying to explain this away. But it's like I see how this fucking weird shit happens. Over years. And unless you really have like a very strong core value, like a spine of values inside of you, you get into that, especially when you isolate yourself. Because one thing that I realized is isolation, or like connection and sexuality is so connected. When I'm trying to get connection just through sexuality, then that's the wrong way, because there are many ways to get this connection. But when you isolate, and that seems to be the only option. It's so weird. It's so interesting. Truly interesting. And so yeah, I was there and I shared that in front of women. That I'm like so ashamed that I was thinking in these things, and like, you know, that sometimes the younger the girl, the better it seemed, kind of the more pure it seemed or whatever. And I'm like, man, I don't know what's going on. I know that I want to have a woman on eye level, but I have these thoughts and I just spoke it for the first time. It like left me afterwards, where I'm like, man, it's okay to share these things because there's nothing wrong with you. You just got to find out why that is. And now the explanation that I've given you, I know exactly what to adjust for that. Fixing my own unworthiness, getting friends, learning more purity, learning how to retain this energy, right? And share with friends about it. Because some people may have fucking fantasies of murdering somebody or any kind of weird shit, or like sex with animals or all kinds of weird things. It's like, you have to share that with somebody at some point who understands that, who doesn't make it okay, who doesn't give excuses for that. But people can be weird, and life is complex, so sometimes weirdness appears. It's like an error in the system, not an error in the system like there's something wrong, but like it's a manifestation that's needs to be understood, why that is. And once you understand the reason behind all of that, then you're like, okay, well, now I know what to fix about it. When you understand, but when you just think there's something wrong with you, and how many people think that there's something wrong with them, you know? I had thought the other day, it's like, I always used to think like, you know, my genitals are too small. Until I realized it's quite average, right? But like I was living in this inferiority place for years. And how many men, like 50% of men, are below average, like by definition. And so I wonder how many people never live the life of their dreams and never have the courage to talk to women because they think that matters so much. And they feel so inferior. And women too. We feel like there's something too small or something too big and they don't want to talk to people or engage in a real relationship. Yeah, it's so interesting. And yeah, speaking of that right now actually helps. But man, how hard that was for the first time. I never shared that with anybody, with any friend before, because I just thought I am so fucking weird and unworthy. Like, there's something wrong with me. And it shouldn't be that, and I shouldn't even think about it, because I should be thinking about work. Because I'm already 5 years into it and making zero money, and I always thought it's like I would be the type of guy who, I start when I'm 20 and like by 23, 24, for sure I'm going to be a millionaire. There's no way on earth I'm not going to be a millionaire when I'm 30. I'm like, with my work ethic and my like extremism in thinking and all of that, is like, there's no way. Well, and now I'm sitting here, I'm turning 30 in 3 months. I'm still at zero. I'm absolutely not going to be a billionaire when I'm 30. Maybe not even make the first dollar. I hope I will, but I can't really force that, can I? So, and all because of some inner phenomena. I was watching back my vlog, episode 3. It did quite well on YouTube, 50 clicks. Good enough. Let's say 10% of those people really watched like the first 30 seconds, 10% of them would subscribe. Would be like half subscribe. 1 subscriber every 10 views. That's significant. So like a video that I just made years ago, just in one day, half a subscriber, and that accumulates, right? It accumulates because these 100 views, they keep coming back, because if 100 people watch it, other 100 people watch it. And you get 1 and 2, it's slow in the beginning, and at some point you get better. Then it's like 10 subscribers every video, every month on that video. Then you grow. And so I watched this back, and I also heard myself say, like, I started with 105,000 euro starting capital, college funds, and what my grandparents saved up as well. On top of that, I just took that, quit college, because I was so determined that I'm going to be successful. I knew I would. And I just could not figure it out why it wouldn't work. Because I was sitting in my basement, subterranean apartment, also weird manifestation. Why do you fucking live in a basement, man? When you could have also had the money to get a better apartment. But if you don't feel worthy because you're not producing, then yeah, under the earth, man. Fucking one window that was like half covered with a little bit of light shown in, but it was like underground, like below zero. Like below zero ground level, like, yeah. The first girl that I ever was intimate with, I walked her through the entire city because I left my car at home. I was just walking, so we walked home. She wanted to see my passport before going in, because I'm like, literally, I live down there. And she was like all distraught, fucking crying, and I'm like, man, this is, what am I fucking doing? Yeah, but I tried to make amendments and drove her to the airport next day and tried to be nice and kind, and I really think she liked that, but man, fucking was I weird. And why do you make these choices? It started when I was young, 15 years, had my first girlfriend, and apparently that was so traumatic because she didn't want to sleep with me, and I thought so much that because I was also so needy, I just needed this so much. And then afterwards I probably just formed some beliefs that that's not for me, and then it took another 8 years until I was back with a woman. 8 years, man, of my youth where I'm just so in this unworthiness and afraid. And none of my friends had girlfriends either. So I'm like, I guess that's okay. We just drink, I guess, on the weekend. I have good grades. I have A grades in school. That's fine, I guess. Right? That's what my thinking was. I didn't realize that you build these skills that as a child and like as a teenager, it's very important. Not to go sleep around, but like you have to make experience with women. Like learn how to relate. Learn how to relate to men, to women, to people. Build yourself, do sports. Yeah, and also no role models. Like I'm not making excuses, but I'm just saying like I could not have potentially. Although I could, of course, there were other people who were into sports and athletics, and I knew them also, but I just didn't, because I didn't think of myself as an athletic person. I hated sports, because I didn't think I was competent at it. Because when I was like, I don't know, 6 or 7, I had one soccer practice and I didn't quite know how to do it perfectly right away. So I was just so freaked out by not knowing what to do. I was just picking flowers and chatting to the goalkeeper without actually doing anything. And I was so traumatized, but so frightened by that experience that I told my parents, I'm never gonna do that fucking shit again, never ever. They just submitted. This was so intense about it, I guess. So I never did sports. My parents just let me get away with not doing it, which is also not something that you should do. Again, I'm not pointing the finger, but kind of do a bit. You know, as a parent, you have to encourage your children to face their fears, even when they're a little bit afraid. You know, even when they're not doing sports or don't want to do that. So they should have done that. But yeah, it's fine. Now we got it correct. You know. But yeah, there's that deep fear of not doing things perfectly right away, because like I remember this viscerally. I'm like, what the fuck do I do? And all these kids, they can, I can't. It's like, and I felt I couldn't go out. I couldn't get out of the situation. Super interesting. And so yeah. I went to college. First I went to Australia, sold strawberries there for 2 years. Worked with some pretty shady, vagabond, kind of half criminal people. Super sketchy, the whole operation. All of my co-workers, nobody had a working visa. I was the only one of 2 people who had like a work permit even. We didn't have a permit to sell these things, let alone that, but at least I had a work permit, so at least I wasn't doing anything illegal. I was just... Could have gotten fined for that, right? Like some, whatever that's called, like a ticket. Speeding ticket or something. But yeah, none of my co-workers had visa, so they were all fully breaking the law. Yeah, it was sketchy as fuck. But yeah, we went back, used the energy the money to go to college, met some really good people, and I got turned on to entrepreneurship, because before I did not think like I'm gonna be an entrepreneur. When I was in Australia, I was just fucking figuring out who the heck, what's going on, man, and why am I not having a girlfriend? Like, what's fucking wrong with me? These were my questions. Drinking every day, yeah, it was weird. Massive acne on my face. You see the scars still, and like, I just didn't get, and I just also didn't understand. There was like so much hate, so much self-hate, and so much anger stored inside of me that, and I also never shared my problems with anybody, so I just kept it all the fuck inside. Never talked to anybody, man. I suffered so much there. I was so surrounded by all these beautiful European young women traveling there, being all free and exploring whatever fucking thing. Could have had some good times there, some good girlfriend, just, you know, get a girlfriend, buy a van, and just travel around like most people did. Never pulled that off, man. I was just all alone all the fucking time, just hating myself. That was wild. That was the worst, man. I went from being somebody who was very liked by a lot of people with a lot of friends, to after school not knowing what to do, and I developed this massive acne based on all this pressure, and I had no outlet for my energy, right? Because I wasn't going to school anymore, and I'm like, well, I sell weed, I guess. So I did that for a while, right? I mean, considered doing that, but not actually doing it, but just getting involved in all these, yeah, like shady things. Yeah, very bad. yeah, it was really weird. And not knowing what was going on, hating myself so much, and not understanding what's going on. I'm like, man. And like this being a virgin, that fucked with me so much, man. Every single fucking day, man, when I was seeing like women, I was like crossing over to the other street when I was seeing a couple, because I could not fucking deal with this. Of like being 20 years old and still a virgin. I just could not fucking deal with this. It was like too much to bear. And every day, everywhere I went, whenever I was seeing a woman or a man or a couple or a child, I was like so fucking pushed to the forefront of my awareness that I was like, yeah, that's when I'm feeling like isolated. This is like all I'm thinking about. Even back then, with this added weight of like, can I actually do it? Because I've never done it. Like, I don't even know. Am I good at it? Is she gonna fucking laugh at me? I also thought like my penis is small. Like, so weird. I was like, so man, I was in such a bad place then. And I couldn't think about anything else. I was so uncomfortable in my skin, so I was just walking around outside all day, going to work, picking fruit, just having something on the ears, some kind of electronic music, and then going back home, wanking in the shower, and just go take some walks in some park, rounds and rounds, just thinking, spinning my head. And some of these days I just fucking cried, man, because I just could not do it anymore. I found myself on the edge of some train tracks and what is this, man? I used to really like my life. I used to have a girlfriend. Now it's like so far out of reach, all of that. I look like a fucking monster. Because like the acne that I had wasn't just pimples, it was like these massive things filled not with some kind of water, but like, I had experience where it grew like right here and like half my eye was gone. I looked like some fucking like some monster really. Or like here I had some like massive lumps, like yeah. And I was like squeezing that. It's like, yeah, unbelievable, man. I felt so unworthy. Unbelievable. It wasn't like a pimple. I had to like shove some fucking needle in there and like poke around until it would open. It's like, yeah, it was fucking unbelievably intense. And obviously I didn't have any idea about nutrition back then, or how these energies inside of you can manifest physically. Yeah. No idea. And I also didn't talk to anybody because I always was so in resistance to it. I thought it shouldn't be even there. I always thought it shouldn't even be. And I didn't know how to talk. I didn't know even what I was feeling. I remember the very first time I drank ayahuasca, I went through this trip of like, for the first time, looking back at this time that I was just explaining to you in Australia. Because I didn't want to deal with that in college. I was just shoving this down. I'm like, this is a new time. Now I'm busy again, studying, reading books all day. It's fine. Let's go. This is a new, right? Because that's all what I was doing. Going to college, coming back home, not seeing anybody, not seeing any friends on the weekend, just reading books. Super wild. Super weird. You just stopped the recording because I think the lights were about to go out, but saving the progress so far. Yeah. So yeah, college. I just shoved it all down. Didn't think I needed to deal with it. My first time I drank ayahuasca, it just took me on this intense trip of experiencing the feelings that I had that I never saw because I was just, my mind was just distracting. I realized, man, I remember that the first time I was reading like a book, there was really some conspiracy book. I don't know, some Weapons of Mass Deception. That's what it was called. Picked it up somewhere. I just started to become aware of my thoughts, and I just realized how there was just like no clear thought. I was just so wrapped up in my mind. I was in Australia, man. I was on this boat. There was a hostel, and I literally, like, I don't know, 70, like 2-3 feet. So I couldn't even sit up in my bed. I just had to lay down. Yeah, it was just fucking horrible. My roommates noted that I was spending 2 hours in the shower, just fucking popping my pimples afterwards, just trying to clean it up. Unbelievable. It was crazy, and it just wouldn't stop. And I was like, man, what the fuck is this? I had pimples before, but this was out of control. That was probably the worst that you've ever seen. I don't think you have seen any acne as bad as that. I would bet you haven't. That was like completely something else, man. Yeah. And that really added to the unworthiness. And the first time I drank ayahuasca, I realized that like a shell of ice around my heart. I didn't want to feel anything at all. Super weird and super intense. And I'm realizing right now how relieving that is. It's like I could have done this literally in 2013 and uploading videos to YouTube. But back then I did not have the mindset of like, I'm gonna share that with the internet. Are you fucking kidding me? Like, I didn't even want to share that with my own father. I didn't even want to share that with my brother. I didn't even want to share that with who I considered my best friend. I cut myself off from everybody. I was just so ashamed of how I looked. I could not fucking believe it. And I didn't understand that the very behavior of cutting myself off was what created it. Had I known that, I would have probably still not done it, because my ego was fucking getting in the way. I wanted to be seen as the special, perfect person. Because my grandmother and my mom, they have always told me how special I am, and I believe that I'm special. I'm very special. I'm gifted in incredible ways. I know that sounds boastful, but I know that I am. You can watch me do something with these talents. Just keep watching my journey. It's like, this will be... We're gonna go all the way. Whatever that means. Right? So yeah. Yeah, and then I was in college. Quit that. Also, did not have sex there at all. In college, not even fucking once. Could have probably. There were probably some needy girls who were just as ugly as I was. I was so insecure because I've never done it. I was like, where do I even start? And I didn't know what I was doing. I was just reading books all day, trying to advance, trying to get myself to the vision that I have of who I am. Of who I knew that I am. Of who I knew that I wanted to be. Did not get it. Didn't even pursue it. I bought a whole bunch of books from Amazon, used ones, and one was The Game by Neil Strauss. Pickup book. Now he makes great Instagram content, by the way. Very nice philosophical content, Neil Strauss. And I remember, leafing through this, and I'm like, talking to stranger women, like women that I don't know, somewhere on the street, in a coffee shop, in the library, what the fuck? I was so traumatized by that, because I knew it's like, this is one of the truths that I can't run away from. I gotta face this at some point. Because how am I gonna meet a woman when I don't talk to her? Was that thunder or some kind of bomb? guess there was a thunderstorm. Rainy season's coming back. That's very nice. So all the smog is finally coming down. My lungs were hurting for the last 3 months, man, because everybody's burning their fucking plastic here. It's unbelievable. Yeah, when you're poor, you get drawn to poor places. Now I'm living in this little tiny jungle town, where I like it very much, but also part of me moved here because it was the only place where I just felt my ego wouldn't get hurt. Because like I could not get my life together. And I felt so unworthy for not sticking with my YouTube content that I started. I literally started giving seminars in 2020, 2 months before COVID. Haha. And I'm like, now I'm doing it. Then I started doing video content after I couldn't do the live ones anymore. And the same mistake, isolating myself, and thoughts kept spinning. And I'm like Tinder on my phone, but like writing some weird fucking shit. I'm looking through the messages. Just yesterday I looked through the message. I'm like, do you want to see nudes? I'm like, what the fuck, man? Did you write? Are you crazy? After the second message, and like some kind of canned opener, and she replies, haha. And I'm like, hey, do you? I'm like, what the fuck, man? Nothing to say. No fun, no kindness. Just pure fucking, I need this, otherwise I can't keep working. And it was true that I needed that. I mean, I needed something, but I didn't need that. I could have also just made a circle of friends. And there was this one woman that I took some yoga classes with, some good friend who respected me, I believe, a lot. And we talked. And she was single and she was absolutely beautiful. Like, very, and the way that I would have wanted a girl, kind of spiritual and, you know, slim and athletic and these types of things, taking care of herself. Right? Anyways, but, yeah. Also, she's given me many invitations, I believe. That's at least what I perceived. Never made anything with it. I felt so unworthy because I just wasn't doing any content. And so that was the same pattern again, right? I felt I needed to be working in order to be worthy, to make money, to be with a woman, but I also felt I need the woman in order to just have this, you know, relaxation. It's really what it is, the focus of the depth. Because I see it right now when I'm going through this period of like deprivation once again, where it's like my mind is just all over the place, cannot really focus on one thing. And I know what cures that. You know, just one night with a woman. As ugly as that sounds. Or just laying in an embrace for like an hour or two. That's also what does it. You can take some CBD oil, you can smoke some marijuana, that cures that immediately. But yeah, these are kind of the ways that I found how to cope with it. But long term, the only thing that works is connection with people. A life of purpose where I'm just having meetings all day, where I'm just meeting people all day. That's what I'm meant to be. That's what cures all of that. Then I don't even think about women and their genitals and whatever. Right? Getting to this point where you lead an organization of that size has not been quite so easy, in my opinion, in my perception. And that's what I always thought it would be. It's like I just keep pushing it until I'm there, and then I get a woman when I'm worthy. But I didn't realize it was like necessary part of the way to get there. It like was a necessary box to be checked in order to get there. Yeah, and now I'm here. My 20s are coming to an end. I'm realizing that I'm back on my mission. I'm just so fortunate that I started early, that I never had some fucking corporate job somewhere. Never ever. Was I so low than that? Right? That was always for me, that was defeat. I can mess up, I cannot work, but at least like I'm by myself, kind of reflecting and getting my own self in order. But like working for somebody else, that would have always been the absolute deepest defeat. I could not take that, and I never have. But yeah, that's standards, right? The same way as Tony Robbins says, raise your standards. If it's a must, I will never work for somebody else. I fucking shoot myself. Like, I will not work for somebody else. If this doesn't work, I'm gonna check out. I will not fucking work for anybody ever, right? Never. And so that's my must. But is it a must to be a millionaire? Is it a must to have that type of woman? Is it a must to be big and strong, right? Be a capable fighter. I'm making it a must now. But yeah, that's like how psychology affects us, right? It's like if that's given already from our parents, it's a huge, huge gift when they instill that in you. But then you have other downsides, right? Obviously. Yeah, and all of that goes to say that an hour already went by, but it's good. It's good content. It's good content telling my story and getting it out there, getting it out of myself, processing it one more time to really clarify who am I and what's my message? What's the value that I can provide for people? Because I really have figured out something super important here, and I know that there are other people who are struggling as much as I do, but I do not want to make my target audience people who are like me, because maybe that's just rejecting myself, right? That's possible. When I don't want to target people who are like me, like broke, or like not broke. I wasn't broke at all. I could have easily afforded it. And I spent tens of thousands of dollars on seminars. That was one of the things that I'm really happy and grateful for, because that really led me on the path of discovering Tony Robbins and really earnestly trying to study this material, but I never got the connection that I needed in order to really apply that consistently, right? I was always in this weird haze of like, man, I'm so lonely, I just need to get laid or what. Yeah, weird, man, weird. Because I knew that was the only thing that really worked, but like only for like a week or two, and I had to like recover it. And so the real solution would have been a girlfriend, but I just did not feel worthy enough to have a woman consistently, because I just wasn't producing. And the one time where I did have that, in that one summer in Germany just before I left here to Peru, 2019, that was hands down the absolute happiest time that I had so far in all of my life, up until now, the absolute happiest time. Because I was with her, and it was not that she made me happy, that's not what it is, but like, she was available for me sexually, as weird as that sounds, 2-3 times a week, and I just was imbalanced. And then I went back home and just did my work and produced videos and produced content, and then we broke up, and I made some excuses that I just didn't want to get another girlfriend until I get to Peru. It was only like 6 or 8 weeks. Just started smoking weed again. Stopped producing. Just like I need to prepare. I came to Peru all like fucked up, right? Almost missed my flight because I was so high on hash. Because I just mixed the last hash that I had in Holland with my peanut butter in the morning, and just got so incredibly stoned because of that. Just almost missed my train. I just didn't know, and I'd switched trains 2 or 3 times to get to the airport. And then I got to the airport, and then I was so hungry that I just spent my time eating my food that I had. Didn't realize that I need to apply for a visa because I was actually flying through Canada. Realized that, so I did that last minute. Was literally the last person that got to the plane. They drove me there with this fucking caddy, and then I got on the train all high, and I farted probably every 2 minutes, because I was just so in this fucking haze of that peanut butter with the hash that just brewed inside of me, and the people next to me were probably hating me like crazy because I was just letting it out, not being able to hold it in. Because if you really have these violent farts brewing, I was like, it's very hard to hold it in. It's like, it's super, it's painful, it's violent, it's hard. Yeah, but doing the hard thing is what makes you a leader, right? You can't just fart into your neighbor's face. Right? You can't do that when you're a leader, if you want to be a leader, right? But it also starts, earlier than that, not eating the hash at all. Who would have done that? A leader would not have done that, right? Yeah, so interesting. Yeah, and then I got to Peru and met my good friend Austin. And then I thought everything's gonna be alright. For the first month, we just spent time with each other and talking, and I'm like, man, for the first time, some connection, man, this is amazing. I started back doing my webinar, preparing the slides. I was just so stuck in perfectionism again. I was trying to make the slides exactly the way Russell Brunson said. And I didn't know my message yet. And I always thought I had to know this before I'm actually starting. What my message is, who I am, and what I'm doing, and what I'm helping people with. Because I didn't know my worth. I just did, and I also didn't realize that brand building, how I could not see this. It's unbelievable. Because the first videos literally I made in that summer in Germany. I made them, I had them on my hard drive, and now they're, after 6 years, you're seeing the first light of the world. And they're getting 50 views. Had I just uploaded it back then, I would have probably just stuck with it. But I just didn't think I had enough to share, and I needed to share like flashy things and a muscular body and being somewhere in Dubai, anything worthy of attention. Right? I did not think that just going through the park in Germany, explaining like life learnings, and this is what I've always wanted actually, man. Just going around and documenting things, looking at, pulling out the learnings of life in everyday situations. I never did that because I was just always so in this reffed up, weird, needy space of just being so alone. It was wild, it was super hard. Now it sounds like I'm all whiny and shit. I could have just manned up and did this differently, but man, back then it was not an option. I was also so weak because of, man, I was hitting the gym like a motherfucker. But I also thought I had to be like a vegetarian or a vegan because it's kind of more pure. And frankly, I really had to purify what I was eating. My parents let me eat all kinds of shit, and they have no fucking nutritional awareness ever. They were feeding us with the worst kind of industry food shit, man. It's horrible, man. That's certainly, yeah, doesn't make you strong as a child. It's super negligent in my opinion. I mean, I love my parents. I have good things to say, but that's just irresponsible, man. You can't just feed them this fucking industry shit. Can't do that, man. Yeah, no awareness. Don't care, right? Don't care. Not for themselves. They got fat and all. No. Yeah, but hey, what can I say? It's like it's another mindset. It's another generation. They didn't know. They didn't know the effects of that. But yeah, it's absolutely unacceptable. You can't feed your child this type of shit. Yeah. Anyways, got corrected now. But yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and I uploaded the first videos. Never did. Here in 2020, I uploaded the very first one to YouTube. Just 5 or 6 of them. Then stopped again for 4 fucking years. 4 years. Bought a farm in between. Started a salt company. Started semen retention coaching. And now we're back. And the first year is almost over. First year of actually following my heart and doing my mission. Although I could have already worked for 4 years. Unbelievable. What did I do all day? I got up. I was just laying in bed trying to kind of figure things out and get a little bit of comfort in at least, because I was so distraught as well with like war, and this was like what completely broke me. I was like so used to like dealing with this shit inside of me, and then I was on the outside. I was just not strong enough to handle that. I completely carved in, and lost myself for a little while. I was just running around again outside, going for fucking pizza, like a 3-hour walk, and going back a 3-hour walk, like hating myself for not talking to the women that I saw on the way, and that was all that was on my mind, Sleeping in and then getting up and still laying in bed, trying and like being so happy that I had just one clear thought, and I thought this one clear thought, because my mind was like all over the place with all kinds of fucking weird sexual and violent fantasies, and like talking to myself and fantasies of the past and few visions of the future, and whenever I had like one productive thought, I thought like, yes, now I'm one step further towards getting the clarity. When I finally have this clarity, then I will be able to start. And once I start, I know that I'm so talented and so hardworking, I will make it, but I just need the clarity first. And I was relying on that for years, man. Now, when I was looking back at how I lived, I'm like, you fucking piece of shit, you don't even deserve anything, right? But that's all this self-hate as well, that, it's not useful. I just have to have, I have to have balance, and I have to have compassion with my younger self, because I really did try the best. It's like, this was always like it, I just committed to some kind of coaching program, went to a seminar, and like I realized I was always working my hardest. I was working super stupidly, but always giving my best, all of the energy that I had. Because my life was just one big mesh. There was no week, there was no weekend, there was no holiday, there was no nothing, because it was holiday all along. And I was just free. I was just living my dream, right? Or pretending to, right? But I was just free all day time. And so I just couldn't even work any harder. Because it wasn't like I was going to work and then was coming back. I was just getting up and going to sleep. That was my life. Like, I was like on all the time trying to get my life together. And so I realized that I just could not have worked any harder. It was like all of my energies went into these weird fantasies and talking to myself, and just sometimes, I even went up and walked up and down in my place for like an hour and a half, just speaking things out, telling myself my own life story, and knowing that, okay, I'm making at least a little bit of progress to becoming a public speaker. That was good. And some of these things that came out of me, they really were very good. I'm like, I could have written them down somewhere, sure, I did not. That's also one of the things that I realized, that, starting my journaling last year, that I never wrote anything down. And that was also a manifestation of this weird loneliness all the time. Just didn't write anything down at all, ever. Never ever. A few things on my laptop, yeah, but yeah, so weird. But I realized that I should be doing more of that. That this is just another thing that I could do. It's also, the options of what you can do. It's not only sexual intercourse that will balance me out. There are other things that I can do. Massage, going to a wrestling class, 2 or 3 times a week, just continuously to just balance out the energy. Not only in the moment when I really need it, and in the moment when I really need it, when it just does get kind of jammed up, taking some CBD oil and getting back in balance. Just, finding a way to find a girlfriend. That's got to be the number one priority. It can't be so hard, but I'm really working hard on the computer. But on the other hand, am I really working that hard? Or am I just fucking kidding myself? Because I'm here making these videos, just basically chit-chatting my own story. But it's interesting. Well, anyways, we're gonna cut this video together. We're gonna eat lunch, and then we're gonna keep going with the outreach. Thank you everybody for listening, if anybody is. I'm sure in a few years from now, people will be listening to that, and I'll be directing people to that and saying like, look, I could have made these videos all along, talking about it, and gained followers all along, but I just didn't have a wealth mindset. I just did have an unworthiness and poverty mindset.